Okay, so my friends, it's Lou Martin here. This is Awakened Spirits Network. To know him is to love him. Brother Anthony J. Rodriguez, Walking Crow, from the
Ahoy, everybody.
holy lands of Sedona. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great, Lou. Just loving life, loving and living life. I hope.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you for taking the time, and we've just been, catching up here. And as I said, Lauren Standing Elk was a big inspiration to me. I think you and I chatted maybe in August, July, somewhere in there over the
Yeah.
summer. Yeah. And he had just passed over then. And I was mentioning to you that synchronistically, as I was getting ready to get on here today, we're talking about your men's group, and I want to hear more about that and have you share about that. That Robert Bly, the poet and men's group leader, 94 years of age, just passed over as well. So here's you and I, a couple young Turks,
Right.
trying to make our reputation in the healing world. And there's brother Robert Bly and brother Lawrence Zephyr Standing Elk looking after us. So
Speaking of poets, I'm a poet, and I became a poet in 1989.
Okay.
I'm a poet and didn't know it in 1989. And I wrote a line. I lived in Laurel Canyon for quite some time.
Yeah.
And when I lived there, I would go outside in the autumn and listen to the wind and the rustling leaves and the coyotes and such. Am I feeding back, by the way?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I'm just
checking.
You're good.
And there was a poem that I wrote, and there's a line from the poem. And here in Sedona, I do at the Skyrocket, I do a full moon fire ceremony every month. Yeah. And I have everybody look after they offer their intentions to the fire with tobacco. I have them sit quietly, look into the sky at the stars. And there's a part of the poem that I use, and I never thought I would do this. And I would say, your eyes do shine up in the sky like beads of pearls and smiles mine. And I have them just look at what's looking back at them, and I say that to them. And I don't know what effect it has on them whatsoever, but it has an effect on my heart because I've been carrying that for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I never thought that it would matter to me, really. If you think about it, who cares about the writings of a barely sober young guy?
Well, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful words, and you're very good with words, my friend. I'm not surprised that you're writing poetry. I've written poetry as well, and when I do morning prayers, I often am reading other people's poetry, etc., and sometimes my own. If you have anything else you want to share with us, you're very, very welcome now or in the future.
Thank you. Lawrence was. We were talking about him. And I met him in Blythe, California, at an event that I was told that I had to go to by Gentle Thunder in Maui. She was coming and she was going to buy a drum for me, and she said, "You have to be there. How many drums do you have?" And I scraped up enough money to get there, and at the time I wasn't doing so great. But I asked my audience, my listening audience, would you donate, $5, $10, $20, so I can get there? They came up with $200, and I'm grateful for that. That $200 and that asking, that willingness to ask, changed my life. I met my landlord there. I met Lauren there. I met this whole tribe of people who are now my tribe. We don't all think and feel the same. That's okay. But we were there for a common reason. And in the common unity of the community is what I'm all about, really. What's happening within the community. And I heard Lauren speak. I heard him sing. I heard him jam out with some other guys. And I stood around listening, And I was a fly on the wall, and I was glad that I was that fly, that piece of medicine on the wall. And I was receiving. And, he's gone since August, but his influence hasn't gone away. You know, I said this earlier too before we went on air.
Yeah,
I mean, his body of work, I didn't know how big his body of work actually is.
yeah,
And I hope that I can not so much mirror it, but have the same effect on the landscape of the world, if
yeah,
not the universe
yeah.
and the spiritual world. That they would say, you know what, that guy was all right. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
That guy was all right. You know.
Well, let me support that. Let me support that, Anthony, because this is, I think, part of the draw of chatting again with you. And as I said, I was feeling, last time we talked, I wanted to keep this conversation a bit more active. So as I said earlier, I'm so glad to get back with you here. I just feel, brother, that everyone I'm listening to and my own inner guidance, which is how we always have to balance things, the inner and the outer. But you know, huge changes appear to be on the horizon energetically for the world in general. And
Yeah.
what's like interesting, you know, we're meeting Lauren, getting to know him a little bit over a few occasions, and being tremendously inspired by him, his courage, his humor, his humility, and his wisdom. Everything I think that he did, he was checking with himself: is this proper? Is this okay? Am I all right with this? Does this
Amen.
feel right? And and he kept us all on track. When you were hanging out with this guy, you were you were respectful of what was being offered, and it was an empowering lesson for me, especially living for several decades without a dad, and so here comes Robert Bly as well. What what Bly taught us in his men's circles and his poetry was the same respect for the elders, and now you and I got a little snow on the roof at this point, as we say, and it's like a different story. We're carrying something that they were very good at sharing with the world, both of these master teachers,
Right.
and as we're saying here, we're walking in their footsteps, and we're striving to bring some of that light and some of that wisdom to the world. But both of these guys, as I said, it was synchronous for me that you and I are talking today, and this
Oh,
is
yeah.
when I hear about Bly's passing, and last time it was Lauren. So there's just some big circle happening with all of this, and I'm
Right.
just saying, I feel the world is going to need, very much the red road and the wisdom that you carry, and that is available to everyone if we will pay attention, and learn from each other.
I was the last person that ever thought would be sitting in this chair, speaking the way that I do about the divine
Right,
feminine, divine masculine,
right,
giving to the world things that I at one time knew nothing. Maybe I knew they were there, but the walking crow within, right? At 5
uh-huh,
years old, that was assaulted out of me in Catholic
right,
school. They
right.
they they made me Anthony J. Rodriguez. I don't believe in that name. That's the
Okay,
colonized name. And
okay. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll call you Walking Crow then.
yeah, and
Yeah,
thank you. And
sure.
here in Sedona and around the world, I did a class on Bava mission for ladies last Friday called
Oh,
the healing the language of lack and lineage.
great.
Oh,
Yes,
and a lot of people here of color live that way for a long time until they find somebody like me, and I start moving them towards the center.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I spoke of last week, and you're in Ireland, so it's a good example
yeah,
of the turn of the century and the potato famine,
sure.
and
Yeah,
how we're all affected by colonization,
right,
even
right,
the
right.
colonizers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
seemingly, right? Seemingly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
True.
have a lot of Irish brethren, and I'm part Irish. And
Right,
during the potato famine, there was no potato famine.
right.
The crown was creating famine and starving out the people, and they came
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
There's such a relation with the Irish, with the Celts, and the native peoples here. And
Yeah.
and I remind people,
Uh-huh.
colonization isn't just about being brown or being down or being black. No,
Right.
everybody was affected, even the colonizer. Where was
Yeah.
the low self-esteem that they had? Where did that come from, that they
Yeah.
felt they had to stomp on the rest of humanity?
Sure, man. Sure.
And
Yeah.
guys like you, guys like me, guys like Lauren, guys like well, people like us, we go around saying what we say, and we don't realize the healing um, that we're giving the world. And we don't call it that. We
Yeah.
just, we're just sharing.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, brother. Yeah. No, great. Well, thank you for the correction on how I can call you. That's good to know, man.
You can call me anything you want. People always ask me, what should I call you? I said, I don't know. What are you comfortable with? It doesn't matter to me.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to call you. I'm happy to have a walking crow in my life. Believe me, I'm happy to be so privileged.
Thank you, Lou.
Brilliant. Yeah, my pleasure, brother. My ex is Erica, and her daughter is related to Lauren by blood, and she's I'm trying to, she goes by Zephyr, of course, and that was his son, so she's his granddaughter, I think, and she's got a page honoring him and promoting his books and all that. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm happy to send.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, it's beautiful to have somebody facilitate that for a beautiful soul.
Yes, yeah, and then to come back to Bly here for a second. Did you ever know Bly? Did you ever see him or meet him? Yeah, okay.
No, I don't have any of his books either. And I have got lots of poetry books.
Sure. Well, he's oh great. Then you see that's part of the gift of today, because his most famous book was the men's story that he wrote called Iron John, and it was based on a Grimm's fairy tale, and he used this as a way of teaching, boys becoming men, raising sons, all of this. And all the archetypes that we all go through in that dance, in that journey, in that process, etc. And so you were mentioning your MISC group, and that is and that's want you to talk a little bit about that, if you would. That's right in that neighborhood of Bly, creating that space for men. Do you want to tell people what that's about?
Sure. Quite a few years ago, when I realized my mommy issues in my tissues, I realized that I don't like to use the word need. I wanted to do something about that, because I got sick and tired, as they say in the Anonymouses, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being Anthony. And feeling empty and feeling picked on and feeling less than and not being enough. So I started talking about the mommy issue, and I started having events in Los Angeles. I didn't call it miscellaneous then. I call it a men's healing circle or something. And there was 5 men that showed up. I was talking about my mommy issue, and then I asked, "Is there anybody here who has a mommy issue?" And every single man raised their hand in that room.
Sure.
Well, with that in mind, my friend, a friend of mine who went to healing, I forget her name. We went to healing school together at the place where I was abused and hit at 5 years old, the Poverello Retreat Center, which was the Poverello School in 1966, 67. So I had gone full circle. And she started an organization called WISH, Women in Self-Healing. And I asked her if I could borrow that. We would trade services, and I asked if I could borrow that. And I changed it and became Miscellaneous Men in Self-Care. I wanted to offer self-healing to men, and I didn't even know what I was doing yet. So what I did was, how could I heal myself? How could I heal the little boy that really wasn't here yet? I hadn't integrated the little boy that I left behind at 5, because I didn't have the skills or the ability to know what to do at 5. right? How do I integrate that little boy with the man right here, right now? And the old saying is you can't go back. Well, I couldn't go back as a 5-year-old to get the 5-year-old. I had to go back as the man with the hole, right? The emptiness to
Yeah.
get the little boy, to integrate the little boy with the man and become WHOLE,
Yeah.
whole,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a whole. And this is what I teach a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
did that and I didn't know what it was going to look like. And what it looked like was, well, what did the little boy, what was the little boy missing at 5? I don't know. I don't remember. So, but I know what I'm missing now. And now the little boy's here. I'll give what the little boy likes as a man in my
Yeah.
present state. So I go to
Yeah.
coffee houses. I go read in coffee houses. I meet friends. I take a nap. I go have ice cream or whatever it was that I would give myself to heal the man, to heal the little boy at the same time. And it just
Yeah.
became who and what I was, am, not was. And I offer that to the man child, the woman child in the same way. I will help you. I will walk you through to that. While I was doing that here in Sedona, and maybe you've heard it, I don't know. I oh nana oh I oh nana oh I oh nana oh I oh nana oh oh way oh way oh way oh way. Ionana oi, Ionana oi, Ionana oi, Ionana oi, away, away, away. I will love you, my child. I will love you, my child. I will love me, my child. I will love me, my child. I will, I will, I will. Oh, that's a powerful song.
Beautiful.
I sang that for the first time at the Skyrock Inn. I did ceremony at Skyrock in here in Sedona on Saturday, full moon ceremony.
Wow.
But the first time, almost a year, it'll be a year ago in maybe January, February, I sang that song in the lobby. They asked me how I wanted to present myself to the Skyrock. I said, well, let me come in and sing medicine songs.
Yeah.
And when I sang that song
Yeah.
in the spirit language, because I don't know what language it is other than spirit language, some people call it something else. What happened in that room, everybody got quiet. The guests stopped moving around, the employees stopped moving around the lobby, and I could hear the tears that came into everybody's consciousness and their soul of their child. And I wasn't singing in English. It wasn't until afterwards when I told them what that song meant.
Yeah.
And the employees at the hotel were flabbergasted. So it's been part of my medicine to really integrate the child with the adult. And there's a lot of people will say, well, I've done the work. I do the work. And I tell them, I'm looking at you. No, you're not. Stop lying to yourself. Stop lying. You can't lie to me, but you'll lie to yourself. Really? Really? Come on. So I try to help them and try not to be judgmental in a judgmental way, but judgmental in a discerning way that I can say, I can help you if you want help. If you don't want help, there's always tarot cards and crystals, right?
Sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not the medium that I use to heal. I use the soul.
Yes.
I am the soul.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's to it. No, thank you for sharing all that and singing the sacred songs, and to me, that's what it is, the, all the indigenous people of the world, if I can use that term, lovingly, have this wisdom of Mother Earth and of Great Spirit. And this is what I'm listening to again recently, this teacher, Addie Lamborn, who goes by the name of Green Tara, who is channeling Divine Mother. And of course, it's the same message from Divine Mother that you just expressed there. It is, Joni Mitchell's line, we've got to get back to the garden. We've got to get back to Mother Earth and to open our hearts and remember why we're here, and who we really are. And as you're saying, man, absolutely, there's just a lot of busyness and craziness and confusion and fear and anxiety in most people's heads at the moment that needs healing.
the worst thing to be, I feel like, in this lifetime right now, especially with everything that's going on, and I don't watch the news and I don't read the news. I don't, that doesn't serve me. Is
Right.
being a parrot doesn't serve those who are parrots, who repeat and repeat and repeat that stuff, because it doesn't cause anything but heartache
Yeah.
and doubt
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
failure, and it causes all of that. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that those parents would find somebody like you or me or Zafir or whoever and
Yeah.
say, you know what? Wow, what did he just say?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? And that their socks would come off when they hear it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and even if
Yeah.
their socks don't come off and they hear it, and then they have the memory of it 2, 3, 4 years later, 2 weeks later, 2 days later, 2 minutes later.
Yeah. 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 The truth is the
So
truth.
the body remembers, the mind, the body
Yeah.
remembers.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. No, I'm just saying the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And when you feel it, you know it, and this is what the world is hungry and thirsty for.
Yeah.
What is my deep truth? Why am I here? What is my life about? Who am I?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
I've done a couple of interviews over the last weeks, and my like percentage of people who are liking me or finding me really has shot up. So that says something about, while the numbers in churches, I'm sorry to tell you that, sorry about the bad news, but while the numbers in churches are going down, the numbers in church in other places, in temples and gatherings and circles and teepees and wherever, is going up.
Yeah. 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 I hope. Yeah, man. And well, you're saying it. I mean, I'll just give my take on it. Yes, the mainstream media, their numbers are shrinking because all they're doing is selling lies, basically, and confusion and fear, with a hidden agenda. Bless them. And our numbers in the alternative media, in being independent, as I said, I just started on to Spotify recently, and I'm there because I can say, at the moment, I can say whatever I want. We can talk about whatever we want. Whereas with Facebook and YouTube, it's not the same by any stretch. Yeah.
Today I posted on Facebook,
Right.
what if COVID was an app? Was a filter? What if COVID was a filter? And that rubs some people the wrong way. I don't care. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do, brother. And it's you got to laugh or you'd be crying. That's those are the choices. Yeah. It's really interesting. Do you know Aluna Joy Yaxkin? Do you know
No.
that? Oh, okay.
I know so many people. I forget.
Yeah, she's in Sedona, or she was based in Sedona, and she's one of those white people like myself here. But she's been doing ceremony and traveling to the sacred sites with our indigenous brothers, for decades, Central and South America principally. And I'll try to dig out her last share from the elders. She does real ceremony and real ritual, and she channels the elders in a way that is very credible to me. And her message from the elders was that by the time we come to December 30th, the curve into the new year, we're really going to start seeing, the gloves come off, the wheels come off, the boundaries come off,
right?
The lid come off, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's tremendous freedom, in trusting ourselves and trusting each other. And like you're saying, meeting your tribe, meeting your community, having your proper name and your living your path, and knowing that and trusting that and honoring that, versus everyone else who's just scrambling, who doesn't know what's going on.
Being in Sedona, I'm amazed at how many people are scrambling, but there's snake oil salesmen scrambling.
Sure, buddy.
And they're trying to live their old life and their new life. They're claiming the new life, but they're confused in both. You have to let go of one. Rumi says, poets.
Yes.
Rumi says, these are for picking up, right, and putting down. They're not for holding on. Look at my forearm, if you can see it. This is PTSD. What happens when I make a fist?
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
that's PTSD. That's what,
Okay.
when a little girl is molested and she freezes and holds the freeze and she
Mm-hmm.
becomes a girl,
Mm-hmm.
she her soft tissue is diseased and she gets fibromyalgia or lupus and she doesn't know how to heal herself.
Sure. A lot of
And the
that.
doctors don't know how to heal her either, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not about the body physical, it's
Right.
not about the psychological, it's about the emotional. That
Yeah,
little
man.
girl didn't have the tools,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
now that she's older she can find the tools, and guys like you and me and women like you and me
yeah,
and Luna,
yeah,
we're here.
yeah, yeah,
We're here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I hope, my friend. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I love that you brought Rumi in, because that was the poet that Bly really introduced me to, I think, more deeply than any other poet. He's also got a great collection I want to mention here, with this brilliant title called "The Rag and Bone Shop of the Heart," which I think is someone else's line of poetry, but it's his collection of poets that he loves, and some of his
yeah.
own pieces. It's well worth it.
Beautiful.
But Rumi, the great thing, when I saw Bly, it was in L.A. and he had the drummer from The Doors, John Densmore, doing the drum with him. And I'd never seen a poet read with the drummer or musician in that way before. And Bly would just read the same line over and over again, or he'd go through the poem once and then he'd go back to it again, and he'd ask you about it. He'd say, "What is this saying to you? Where is this in your life? Why are you hearing this? Reach for it." And
Yeah.
Rumi and Hafiz, these great Middle Eastern poets, from that indigenous culture, bringing their wisdom, the depth of their heart and soul. It was medicine. It was absolutely medicine for the
Yeah.
soul, and he was a great shaman.
I mean, when I started to call myself transformational sacred walking crow, call my transformational sacred drum medicine. Now, when I introduce myself to audiences like at the Skyrock or even online, I say I am transformational sacred drum medicine. I embody that. That is what I am. That is who I am. That is what I do as Walking
Yeah,
Crow. And I
yeah,
have to own that, because it used to be Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, Mount Luz transformational sacred medicine. What a mouthful.
right. There's this
I was
hat.
trying
There's
to
this
find
hat.
my way through the darkness, right? Through the darkness of
Yeah,
how was I identified as Anthony Rodriguez, and I had to go from darkness to, well, Crow medicine is about um, uh, 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 the sacred law, protecting the sacred law. It's about manifesting and shape shifting from darkness to light, and that's what I had to do to bust out of the shell, the membrane of the shell, or the cocoon, or whatever it was. And there was the light. I was the light in my own darkness, and I didn't know it.
oh, to that. Yes, my friend. Yes,
There's a
yes.
lot of people who search externally for it, but it's not. The old saying, "It's not out there, Scully. It's out there, Scully. It's out there." No, it's not.
Right.
No,
It's
it's
in
not.
here. Yeah,
Mulder
yeah,
was wrong. He
yeah,
was
yeah.
incorrect.
Sure.
If he would have gone
Oh, yeah.
inside, he would have found everything he was looking for.
Yes, yes. Brilliant. There's some line somewhere. Someone says, God says, "I've hidden myself where people will never find me." Where's that? In their heart. Yeah. And so, yeah, man. That's you go within or you go without is another one that comes to mind. And when life breaks your heart, and I had the fire last year and lost everything I owned, and my relationship dramatically changed with who I'd been living with for 13 years, and a lot of things had to be started over, and very fragile, very gentle, very
Yeah,
slow. you know and as I was sharing earlier, I've had a tremendous amount of love and support, and I'm just nothing but grateful and thankful, um, and appreciative of what I have, and how it's all just a passing moment, you
yeah,
know, right? And what is important is the love that we carry in our hearts, and what we can give, how we can give that to each other.
yeah, yeah. The gratitude that you show is that I feel from you is just over the top.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, my friend Lou, like he said, lost everything. And people think losing everything and still having their car and still having their laptop. And no. Financially, I've lost everything over and over and over again. And since I made a decision and said yes to Sedona, this is where I'll be, this is what I do, guess what's happened? A master CEO in Los Angeles, when COVID started, I was in LA. We sat down on the grass in a park eating Costco pizza because there was no restaurants open. He said, I want to ask you, you were talking about going to Sedona, then you disappeared. I said, yeah. He said, how much did it cost you to go to Sedona? And I said, I never said I was going to save money. Oh, he said, how much did you save to go to Sedona? I said, I never said I was going to save to go to Sedona. I said I was going to go to Sedona. And then we saw each other probably about 4 months ago. We had lunch in a restaurant this time, at a table, across the table from each other.
Right.
And he said to me, I watch your videos, I watch your quotes, and I watch the drumming, and I watch all of that. He says, and I just want to cry when I see you. I said, cry.
Yeah.
What is it about you that connects so deeply that wants to cry but won't allow yourself? I didn't say that the rest of it to him. I just said, cry.
Yeah.
We deserve to allow the tears to flow from our eyes, from our fifth chakra. And I often ask people that work with me, do you know, and I've had nurses that have come to see me, and I'll say, do you know where mucus comes from? And they'll say, where mucus comes from.
Okay, no, go ahead.
The tears.
Yeah.
And they go, well, the heart, the this, the that, and milk. But my teachings are heart, lungs, air. I love, I'm loved. Heart, lungs, air. I don't have the capacity to love. I don't have the capacity to be loved. Which is it? Make a choice. In the womb, the sound we heard first was the sound of mother's heart.
Yeah.
We get pushed out at 9 months.
Yeah.
The spiritual completion, number of spiritual completion. We get placed to the breast. Memory. We feed from memory. We feed from mammary. So that's what I teach. And they say, well, it comes from all these places. I said, when you get the flu and you're, it's nasty stuff from here. It comes from the lungs. Those of us who walk around this mud ball with a broken heart, it shows up in smoking pot. It shows up in drinking. It shows up in breast augmentation, breast cancer. It shows up in so many different ways, and you'll call it something else.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Low self-esteem comes from someplace. Oh, I need boobs because men will look at me, and then have you done anything about your daddy issue in your tissue?
Mm-hmm.
No. Mm-hmm. Smokers, have you done anything about your growing up and what happened when you were whatever age? Mm-hmm. I'm starting to mentor people more and more, and I take them to that place, and they stop and they realize, oh my gosh, healing the lineage, right? Healing the lineage of who they are. Grandparents, grandmother, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, and so on.
Yeah.
You do that, and you can listen and not get into the story about it and get into the release and relief of it.
Yeah.
You can save yourself.
Sure, man.
A whole lot of issue, a whole lot of money on alcohol, a whole lot of money on cigarettes. Sure. I smoked tobacco. I smoked a pipe before we started.
Yeah.
That wasn't about smoking. That was about opening the portal to the spirit.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's all.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, and thank you for that. And it is. There's a world of difference. The sacred and the profane. Is the phrase that comes to mind. And
it's powerful.
Yeah, it is. And it's like we're saying here, man. Ceremony and ritual, and living from integrity and. Music and poetry and the teachings and the truths that keep being reborn, generation after generation, or carried on and learned and taught, all of that, that's who we are. That's what humanity is. Is that fragile gift of our culture and our soul and spirit passed along through our culture, and the world has forgotten this, dramatically, desperately. And this whole madness that's going on with making people sick and crazy and frightened and fearful and, walking around in a disguise to themselves is just, you and I are going like, wow, brother, that's some trip you got going on there, man. That's some investment, How does that work out?
I may take a lot of heat for this, and so what?
Yes,
heat, but
I'll back you up.
I feel like those who have gotten sick have really enslaved themselves to the listening, not the listening, but the listening, the thinking, thinking,
Sure.
and the squeaky wheel, And
Sure.
I don't want anybody to get sick, and I don't want anybody to die. And I'm sorry if you've been sick, and I'm sorry if people around you have died. But what is it that you believe in, really?
Yes.
How do you believe? Really? Yes. No, really. And I ask people, and they get irritated with me. I rub them. I often ask to make a statement. If I rub you the wrong way, I'm rubbing you the right way.
Yeah. Well, if there's nothing there to get pissed off about, I hear you, brother. If there's nothing there to get pissed off about, then you're not holding on to anything,
Yeah.
And people are holding on to a lot, as you said at the start here. Absolutely. And until you lose what you think you are, right?
Right.
You can't know who you're meant to be. You can't be on a real walkabout, on a real vision quest until you've got nothing to defend any longer, until you're just learning, you're just asking, you're just open, and then spirit can reach us, I think, if our hearts are ready.
I'm in Sedona this week, and I don't know if I'm going to gather with anybody for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yes.
For Thursday.
Red man's favorite holiday. Bless us. Yes.
I'm not in Los Angeles with my family, and I love my mother very much.
Right.
And here's why. When I'm judged, when I'm there, I'm judged as a little boy, as a young man.
In your family.
Which tells me there's a lot of people that haven't grown up.
That's hard.
Grown out. And it's hard. I love my brothers and sisters, but I would like to love them more. And I guess I do, staying here and not irritating the shit out of them.
Well, I'm in your club, my friend. You're not alone in the black sheep of the family.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
and, God. I call my mom, and my mom gets upset at them, and not my, what's the saying? Not my monkey, not my circus, not my monkey.
Right. Yeah, man.
Not on my back.
Yeah. It's it's just part of the dance, that we all signed up to go through. And I'm saying for myself, I never in my life imagined it would unfold like it is right now. And as I say, it's the horizon is very choppy,
The work that we do, it's funny because your partner left, and I don't. My partner, somebody I was seeing, we're not seeing each other anymore as much as we were. When we do the hard work and we're true to ourselves, I have to listen to what they say to me. I have to listen to their self-doubt, their judgment.
Yeah, funny that. Yeah.
And what and if I say something, there's always denial. And I'm like, I know what that looks like. I know what it sounds like. I've been sober for 30 years, so I know exactly what that is. But I find that I ask myself, am I supposed to be in a relationship? Do I want to be in a relationship? Do I know how to be in a relationship? I am so engulfed with this person.
Sure.
Relationship with myself. And it's the most important relationship in my life.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, you have to go.
Yeah.
There are people who call me, literally, Lou, I'm not, this isn't about dating or anything. Come from all over the world that want to know me, that want to meet me, blah, 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 blah. But then they start throwing up walls.
Yeah.
Well, you're already, the biggest wall is a distance between us. Why would I waste my time if you're 3,000 miles away? 5,000 miles away, whatever. I'm not going to waste my time.
Sure, buddy. Yeah. No,
If
it's
you
good.
want to do something about it, do something about it. Get in your car, get in your train, get in your plane, get in
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah,
do something about it. I'm here
yeah,
in
yeah,
Sedona because I did something about me. I did
yeah,
something about my situation. I did
yeah.
something to make me feel better about me, not to feel better about you.
Right on.
You're not
Yeah,
my
man.
problem,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
the most important lover that I'll ever have, I just like uh, well, I want to say Rumi, because he spoke to himself like a lover. He may have been speaking to a lover. It's not, I don't know. But the most important lover that I'll ever have is this man right here.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and if you want to love you that way, and if you feel like you can try to love me that way, great.
yeah,
If not, it's okay.
yeah, yeah,
We're still
yeah.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, brother. No, I love you 100%, man, for your
Wow.
truth and your integrity. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And I never thought I would have integrity because I was a guy you didn't want to be friends with. I was a guy that wanted, there was a time in Los Angeles around 30, before 30, I was living in people's $1 million homes and driving their Mercedes Benz and their Range Rovers and using their cell phones before there were cell phones and all of that stuff. I was not the poster boy for kindness.
Well, you were on a different trajectory, you know?
Right? I was a poster boy for selfishness. Well, I was born in the
Yeah.
barrio. I wasn't accustomed to these things. So it was like, being in the sandbox in the playground,
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
it's like, whatever.
Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future, you
Right.
know? Yeah. And, you don't get, I mean, my joke, honestly, Walking Crow, my joke is I've tried everything else,
Yeah.
that eliminates a lot of doubt, when you've tried it every other way, and this is the door that opens.
This just came to me before
Um,
any of the saints said,
it's
"Oh God." They said, "Oh
yeah,
damn." Yeah. Hi, human.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's deep, it's wide, and everyone needs to get in and swim around, man. And
Right.
we're just holding a space for a lot of folks that haven't realized the world is on fire, and they need to get into the water and learn how to swim.
I always say it's easy to dog paddle in the shallow end, but if you want to learn how to swim, you learn how to broad stroke in the deep end.
That's it. That's right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm only 5'7.5". I used to be five,
Okay.
and 6 foot to me is deep in a pool, but I'll swim through
Okay.
it.
Sure.
I'll swim through
Sure.
it because I know I can.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, bless you, man. We have to challenge ourselves every day, or we're not living the truth.
Yeah,
If we're playing it safe, it's going to come and kick our ass at some point. I think that's what happened to me last year.
yeah,
Honestly, I was dug in deep, and I was like, I am moving. The universe like, well, screw you then. We'll move you on your own here. How about that? Okay.
yeah,
Lesson learned. Thank you. Got my
yeah.
attention. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a great your lesson is not just for you; it's for all of us who are
Sure.
watching, who know Lou. And
Sure.
Lou just
Sure.
said, "Okay, uh, uh, um, uh, Brother Paul, the apostle, says
Yeah.
if you come to a town and they don't want to hear what you have to say, you clean the dirt off of that town off of yourself and move on to the next."
Right.
And that's what happened to you. You had to clean the
Yeah.
ash and the
Yeah.
soot off of you of what was to move into a higher state of consciousness. And I think
Yeah.
that's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Not that
Thank
you
you.
weren't not that you weren't conscious. Please don't mistake
No,
me
no,
with that.
no, no.
But there are so many different layers of consciousness, you know, and that's why I don't, like, as sober as I am, I don't go to meetings, because if I raise my hand and say, my name's so and so, I'm such and such, I'm speaking to the lower state of consciousness,
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm
the
the
lower
same.
vibration. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Bless you. Yeah, I went to meetings even here, and I'm saying this, and it doesn't feel right, and it's not really helping me. So
yeah,
thank you. Um,
I have an elder
it's
who's
deep, man.
sober.
It's deep because yeah. Go on.
Now, I have an elder who is sober a few more years more than
Yeah.
you, and he would always call me out in lodge. And he would say to me, outside of that, you better go to meetings or you're going to drink. I said, well, whoa, 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 whoa. You're going to drink. You need to drink. Maybe I should take you to the liquor store and buy you a 6-pack. Don't put that in my realm, in my world, because I walk with spirit. I don't mouth that I walk with spirit. I walk into the Whole Foods that's in Sedona, and I'm not go in there for attention. But when I walk down an aisle, people turn around. I know they feel me coming through the aisle, not necessarily seeing me. So don't muddy my spiritual bigness by saying, instilling fear in it, because I'm not afraid of anything.
Amen.
And maybe I should be. I don't know, but I'm not.
Well, should is a very slippery word, right? But I love that you said that. Yeah, brother. I mean, this is it. We're, you're doing the work every morning. You're cleaning your mind and your heart every morning. You're I call it crawling up to the altar. Me too. Every day.
Yeah, it's me too. You too. You too.
Yeah. And then I have a fighting chance to know what I might be able to do with myself and how I can support other people and help other people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's go on.
Like the word, you used the word fighting chance. I stop fighting. I surrender in the typo. That's just me. There are people who have cancer and they say, I've been fighting cancer for this many years. I'll stop fighting.
Yeah.
Be in the allowance of what's happening to your body, because what's happening to your body is what's happening to your soul, what's happening from your emotional state, because you spend so much time up in here that you don't come into your body to feel what you're supposed to feel. Stop fighting. You're fighting. Do you love you? Why would you fight you?
Sure.
I used to have asthma. I don't claim asthma anymore. It was womb trauma. It came from womb trauma from mom and dad. Well, not even from mom, from dad. His behavior. I don't have that anymore. I don't claim it anymore. I was told that I was a diabetic. I don't take medication. I don't claim it anymore. I'm 160 pounds. I try to eat the best I can. Do I check my sugar? Every great once in a while. But you know what? I'm a healthy being.
Yeah, man.
And I'm a healthy doing being.
Right on. And as Ram Dass says, and doobie do. So there you go.
Oh.
Yes. Beautiful, brother. You just stand in the truth and you just call it out and you just ask us to meet you. And it's always a joy. Yeah, it's a joy.
My hands and my heart are always open. Unfortunately, my mouth is always open too, but I don't hold the energy.
It's a good mouth. I like what comes out of it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and would love to hear more of your poetry, as I say, either now or anytime it suits you, because that's a deep place to share from all of us. Yeah, brilliant. Well, I think we just arrived. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Good, man. Me too.
I'm so appreciative and honored by you always, Lou. And whenever there is no when you ask.
Well, I'll be asking more often then. Thank you very much.
We both have something to offer. I don't do live shows. I used to do live shows, and then my term came and it was time for me to stop. And I do live videos, but maybe it's time to start introducing friends to my world, and so they can hear what I hear.
Sure.
See what I feel, what I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to that. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. Walking Crow, would you leave us with a prayer or a song?
O-I-A, 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 O-I-A. I am joy. I am love. I am spirit and I am light. O-I-A, 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 O-I-A. You are love. You are joy. You are spirit and you are light. O-I-A, 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 O-I-A. We are joy. We are love. We are spirit and we are light. There is no me without you and no us without we. Aho. I bring the circle full. I bring it full circle. Aho shinawana honata. Aho shinawana he to shinakate ho shina se hote ho shinakate ho. Oae, 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 oae. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you, my friend. For all our relations.
Yes. That's
Big medicine. Big medicine, my friend. Big, good medicine. Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you for the honor, Lou. I'm really, whenever I get to sit down with Lou Martin over there, I'm honored. I'm honored.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Because I get to bring you over here.
Oh, please do. Yes. That's always a pleasure. I love Sedona, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. We'll leave it in that beautiful place, sacred space. Thank you for sharing this time with us. God bless you.
All right. Take
All
care.
my love. Okay.
You.
Aho. Aho.